Hello, friends. I'm Ed Strachar, and today we have a special guest in Strachar Swerdlow. Stuart is a fascinating individual. He has a website, expansions.com, where he talks about, and if you've ever gone on YouTube, hundreds, literally, of taped speeches of this incredible man with his incredible story and now incredible abilities. Stuart was part of the government mind control program. He began as a subject, as a young boy, 13, 14 years old, into his late 20s. As a result of that, and I'll let him speak about that in a moment, but what this man has to share, and I want you to listen closely, is all about what they call mind control. Literally, the government, through satellites, cell phone towers, advertising, even the ELF frequencies in the room, being able to go in and program your brain to do certain things, think a certain way, act a certain way. Many of you know that my specialty is in spiritual healing and the area of genius, unlocking our natural abilities. Well, I wanted to expand my abilities, and I wanted to understand how to better train the mind to heal. So I asked Stuart to meet with me, and we're here at Treasure Cove Hotel in the Seychelles, beautiful Seychelles. We wanted to film it on the beach, but it's raining today, so we came indoors. Stuart, welcome, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ed. It's a pleasure for me to be with you.
Really, really a pleasure. Now, one of the things that Stuart and I realized when we first talked, we had a Skype consultation, is, wait a minute, this guy's familiar. He felt the same way. And then we kind of realized, and we tuned back in each of our own unique ways, we were brothers in a past life, 2 times.
At least twice, yeah.
And he was the older brother.
And the pretty one, by the way.
So, amazing things, because Stuart and I have very complementary knowledge and very complementary energy. So, Stuart, tell the audience a little bit, a summary of your background up till now.
Okay, I'll try to be as brief as possible. Many of you may know me from Montauk Project, and that was from 1970 to 1983 on the east end of Long Island at Montauk Point. That project was about mind control, genetic manipulation, even such esoteric topics as time travel, alien communications, weather manipulation, etc. Anything that would manipulate time and space was tested at the Montauk Project. I was chosen for this project because of my family background. Some of you may know that my great uncle, Yakov Sverdlov, was the first president of the Soviet Union, and my family had many high-level connections in Soviet government for many, many years. And that is why I was used in the United States for these projects. Many of the things that we did involved going to interdimensional space portals, opening vortices, wormholes, etc. But the people who were in charge of this project and the people who were in charge of the world realized when they are a few, relatively, and a few meaning a few 100,000, and they are up against 8 billion people, weapons and laws and rules are not enough. There has to be a way to control the vast population of the planet so that the population acquiesces to what these controllers want. And so they created mind control and programming, which they got from alien information, as well as the experiments that the Germans conducted during World War II in the concentration camps. And interestingly enough, another reason I was chosen, one of my other great uncles, Benjamin Sverdlov, brought mind control to the Soviet Union in the 1930s. So in effect, that was the first major country on the earth to install mind control for the general population.
Fascinating. So in effect, I often refer to Earth as a farm. And just like a farmer has a sheep, and the farmer never wants to give the sheep the keys to the gate locks. Well, I've called Earth a farm, and we are the sheep. Would you agree to that?
I would agree. I would also add that it is a big laboratory experiment, and some cases a prison.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've uncovered is that not only is Earth a farm, but mankind has been bioengineered, okay? out there in the celestial civilization, what they try to hide from us, we'll call it aliens, ETs. You know, when you look up there at night, you see those billions of stars, that there's life on them. We know there's life on them. The government knows there's life on them. And there's a secret UN moratorium to hide all this, to keep everyone in the dark. There's also Hollywood agendas to make aliens seem like strange monsters and dangerous and so forth. Well, there's also higher, quote unquote, celestial neighbors and friends aligned with higher levels of love, life, and light. Sometimes they send messengers of divine capability, divine love, divine healing capacities. And part of my journey, after having my own escapades and bouts with suicide and going broke and everything going wrong and being chronically, quote unquote, depressed, chronic fatigue, is I learned how to connect to them. And personally for me, I had to do so by bypassing all the lies I was told as a kid. I grew up Catholic. I became a born-again Christian, read the Bible every day, was told it was a book, the only word of God, quote unquote. Well, then I saw a quote, and you can Google this, the Pope declares Lucifer as God. Lucifer is the devil. He plays both God and the devil. Ooh, that opened up a big paradox for me. But then I started realizing more. What's your take on Lucifer?
Well, as you know, that comes from the Latin word for being of light.
Yes.
And according to biblical history, Lucifer is actually one of the favorites of God. Mm-hmm. And then Lucifer decided that he was more important and more wonderful, and so he segmented a third of the angels of the heaven and brought them down to lower vibrations where they became demonic entities, etc. And I write about this in some of my books. What's interesting to me, Ed, is that the Vatican has an observatory in Arizona called Lucifer.
Yeah.
That's quite amazing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's no secret. In fact, one of the Pope's titles is, in fact, the Pope has 12 titles. The Pope has 12 titles in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. Hebrew, Greek, and Latin are numeric languages. Each of the 12 titles individually add up to 666.
Correct.
So that's no accident. So I've talked about this in other speeches that I've given. They want you to believe in this external God. Remember, Jesus said, I am in He, and He is in me. So just like if you're swimming in the ocean, you're in the water, and the water's in you. We're in the energy, and the energy's in us. We are all part of this, I'll call it universal energy field. I don't like to use the word God, because God refers to some old man in the sky.
I call it God mind, because it's just a mind, and we're all part of that mind.
Right, so I call it a field. I call it the universal energy field, of which your soul, my soul, is part of. Now, Stewart came here to instruct me. I asked him to do so. I wanted to understand what I could learn from this incredible man. But with that, we have 2 hotel rooms right next to each other in this beautiful hotel in the Seychelles, and he told me he has sleep issues. And then his body was hurting in little pieces. So what I do is I go into higher dimensions of the universal energy field, higher dimensions of love, and restore the soul. And as I explained to you, just like putting air in your tire, if the tire is not working right, you try to fix the rubber. Well, that's hard work, and it never really works that well. But if you fill the tire with air, right, now it inflates and operates properly. So when we restore our soul, then the soul knows how to heal the body. So with that, share with them what you experienced from that, and then we'll share with you how these higher dimensions work, how the mind control works, and how Stewart and I combine that knowledge to do some pretty phenomenal things.
Yeah. Well, I had some physical issues that were going on for a bit of time. One of the major ones for me was about 1.5 years ago. I was moving a bed for one of my grandchildren, and I ripped left bicep muscle partially and ripped the ligament. Sounded like a firecracker exploded. Very painful. And of course, conventional medicine said they needed operations or surgery to fix this, and I absolutely refused to go for any invasive surgery. And Ed did some work on me, and actually, I don't even think it was 2 minutes. And I started to feel, I love the analogy of the filling up the tire with air, because I felt like something was filling up my arm. And I don't know if I could show you here, but the muscle's coming back.
The other day, that muscle was flat. It was no tendon whatsoever. And so now you can see the muscle.
And it feels like something's still filling it up in there. And I am confident that very shortly it'll be completely restored to its normal condition.
No, I never touched him.
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
So let me share with you what I shared with Stuart. And I told Stuart this. I said, Stuart, that left bicep has a spirit. And the spirit of the bicep knows how to repair the bicep. I don't. I don't even know how to spell all those body parts and anatomy and physiology. Just have a general knowledge at best. But the spirit of his bicep knows how to repair his bicep. And Stuart showed me how the government can literally go into the pineal gland. Anyone who wants to control someone's mind, even a hypnotist per se, they go into their mind and they implant ideas. So what I did was I restored the spirit of Stuart's arm. That's what I've been doing for many years now and healing many people around the planet. And whether he's next to me or across the planet really makes no difference. But now, not only did I do that, but Stuart allowed me to go into his mind, and I literally turned on the ability to heal the bicep.
I'll tell you, going into my mind is very scary for anyone who does that.
So, and literally I just visualized as I went into his mind pumping up a tire, right? Pumping up the arm. Tell him what you felt.
I felt like there was something like a tube connected to my arm, and something was going in. It felt like pressure, air. It didn't feel uncomfortable. It just felt something's going on in there, and I could still feel something like moving and growing in there.
What we have to understand is that perfect health is a natural state. We also have to understand that the body can always heal itself if the soul is intact and strong enough, just like when we're kids. You fall off the bike, you naturally heal. You never worry about that. But as we get adults, the soul gets drained, it gets weak, and very few people have the what I'll call dimensional access to be able to restore the soul. Well, through a lot of suffering and sacrifice and many, many lessons, I learned how to access that. So in restoring the soul, not only did your bicep heal, tell them what happened with your foot.
Yeah, a long time ago, about 37 years ago, I broke my left foot jumping off the gates of Buckingham Palace in London.
What were you doing, John?
Okay, listen, I couldn't get a good picture of the changing of the guards, so I started climbing up the gates. And then I felt my friend was pulling my pant leg. He says, you better get down, you better get down. And I said, why? I turned around, there was the Queen standing there. And I'll never forget, she was all in pink with little white gloves, and she was like, hello, and I jumped down, like, oh my God, I'm breaking into her house. I broke my foot. And it was very painful, and I waited till I got home to fix it, because I'd been to the hospitals in London, and they were like dungeons, and I was like, I'm not going there. But it did heal up back then. And about 5 years ago, it started to hurt a lot. And recently, to the point where I couldn't even sleep at night, couldn't rest, just not even doing anything. It was in severe pain. And they told me it could be arthritis, a nerve damage, bone spur, everything that you can think of. They gave me a reason what it could be. And so I tried everything. Nothing really worked, or only temporarily worked. But you did your work there. And now I can bend my foot, I can walk, I can lay in bed, no pain. It went from a 9 level to maybe 0 to 2 at times.
Right, so pain went down significantly.
Quite significantly.
He didn't even tell me about this. I just restored his soul and showed him how to clear some of the blockages. And what happens is, as life goes on, we build up blockages. We build up trapped emotions. When our best friend goes out with a girl we had a crush on in high school, or we get hurt, we get injured. He was tortured, literally, and had many mind control experiments done on him, as he elaborates in some of his other materials. So a lot of emotional stuff around him. Well, I showed him how we can clear that, and I showed him how to clear that in what we call a higher vibrational state. And what I shared with him and what I share with many is it's a lot easier to clear steam than it is to clear ice. Steam is ice at higher vibrations. So you can't shape ice, it's solid frozen, but steam is pretty easy. So what we did was we raised your level of vibration, and then we cleared out a lot of this emotional pain and so forth that you'd been carrying for a while.
A long time.
Yeah. Now, that's something anyone can do if they learn how. You're not going to learn that from a book. Today, I gave you the gift of what we call the blue light. And what did you feel when you started using it?
Yeah, that was quite interesting. I felt like, power surging through me from the bottom of my feet up through the top of my head, out through my hands. It was very powerful.
So I teach this in what we call Healing Genius Mastery. And I have a course also called Self-Healing Mastery. I'm coming out with something on de-aging and longevity called the Energy of Youth. So in Healing Genius Mastery, I gift these healing trainees with this blue light and many other tools so that they can remove dark energies, remove trapped emotions, remove witchcraft, which we know is more prevalent than most want to acknowledge, and all these demons and things that literally hang on and feed off people's souls. In fact, one of the things that Stuart and I understood, and when we met, we had very different language, but I'd say 75-80% common understanding, but very different terminology. But one of those key things was that the currency of the universe is not a bunch of pictures of dead presidents on green paper. It is soul's energy. And this is what they're after. And they grow earth as a farm, and they're literally draining soul energy from people through human misery. And that means cancer, disease, storms, wars, and so forth. This is how they drain energy.
They feed off of the negative energy, and that's why advertising and television shows and movies encourage fear, anxiety, even the news broadcasts that you see on CNN, BBC, Fox News. They're all designed to create a sense of hostility, fear. The world's coming to an end. You're going to get blown up if you walk outside. And these entities feed off of that negative emotion that exudes off of you. And in addition, what we're seeing also, the promotion of pornography and negativity like this, they feed off of the negative sense of sexuality as well.
So in my Self-Healing Mastery course, I teach people to connect to higher dimensions of love. You can do it. I taught Stuart to do it. When you connect to these higher dimensions of love, you can restore your soul. You can clean your energy field. And that's important because hopefully, we brush our teeth and we bathe on a daily basis. Very few of us have learned to clean our energy field. When you learn to clean your energy field and get that, you literally can recall your power, recall your soul's energy, and then lots of bodily pains go away. Your body comes back to what we call your natural divine frequency, where you operate better, you sleep better, and things like chronic fatigue, chronic depression, all that stuff goes away because you're literally cleaning those things out of your energy field, and that's darkness. And no pill, no yoga class is going to do that. No meditation course, and all those things can be valuable at times, but they're not going to, those are supplements. They're not going to clean your energy field. You've got to connect to a higher dimension of energy, and think of it, if you have mud, you have to connect to high pressure water to hose it off. As simple as that. A teardropper is not going to do it. Okay, you need that high pressure hose to hose off the mud. Well, when we get dark energy on us, we have to connect to these higher vibrations of love, which everyone can do, by the way. Everyone can do. Jesus said, even the least among you can do the same as I and greater. John 14:12. That quote was very paramount to me, and it was also very paramount why very few, less than 0.01%, these pastors, priests, nuns, and so forth could heal. Why is that? So I sought why. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, religion, in my opinion, and historically, is the original form of mind control on this planet.
Right.
And at the risk of offending some people, Catholicism was one of the strongest mind control programs on the earth, and still is. And you're not allowed to question it. You have to.
Oh, we are allowed now.
Well, and the Pope tells them what to do, and he's the vicar of Christ, and he's infallible, and so on. And you're not allowed to think for yourself or try to decipher for yourself. And if you ask a priest a question about the Bible, the answer is, it's a mystery of God, because they don't know the answer themselves, right? So, and we were talking also about how the church had eliminated several books of the original Bible.
Well, they eliminated several books throughout history. They eliminated and killed anyone who opposed them, over many millions of people. They went around the planet, destroying all spiritual knowledge on 3/4 of the planet. So all shamans, all books, all spiritual literature destroyed. Priests, priestesses, shamans, whatever they wanted to call them, were killed, and they wrote in the books that these were practicing witchcraft and sorcery. They wrote in the books they were spreading the gospel of Jesus, and they replaced it with this one book, the Bible, and they said this is the only word of God. Well, funny, that only word of God, if it was the only word of God, it would glow. Does it glow? No. If it was the only word of God, people who studied it and knew it would be able to heal, right? Can they heal? No. 99.999% of the time. That's mind control, that's thought control. It's a complicated book, so it takes years and years and years to even go through and understand that. And the reality is, it's simple. No prophet ever said to follow a book, religion, or church ever. And that's key to understand. No prophet ever said to follow a book, religion, or church ever. Ever. You connect what we learned, what we call a process I call 5 balls and 4 pyramids. 5 balls. Mind, body, and spirit connected to heaven and earth. And 4 pyramids done to magnify and increase our vibrations. What was your experience when you...
Yeah, that was very interesting. It's the first time I had done anything like that. I have my own techniques, of course. But this one was very powerful, and the pyramids focalized the energy.
Right.
And actually directed it very specifically, and that was very empowering. And I will tell you that one thing that I did learn from you that was very interesting for me, as you know, I'm very mind-oriented.
Right.
And you kept saying, go from your heart, go from... I'm like, what are you talking about, go from my heart? You know, there's nothing, it's all here, right? But then I started like, okay, and you said, you're at 3%, 5%. I was like, okay, and I just saw 0%.
Yeah.
I just did 0%, and you said, okay, 0% now. And then I could feel the emotional energy coming out. And as you know, because of my experiences at Montauk and because of my family history, emotions were a very difficult thing. And in fact, cut off this, don't feel anything. You know, love is, you know, an energy that could be used many different ways. But I appreciate that understanding and seeing how I can open this up quite tremendously and encompass everything.
So I mentioned before how Stewart and I had complementary knowledge, complementary energies. My strength was coming from the heart and using the heart to heal. Love is what heals. Love, not holding hands and candles and wine on the beach, but higher dimensional love. What the religions, the schools and medical systems don't want you to know about. They want you to sink yourself into a book for 20 or 30 years and feel guilty and be told you're a sinner. Wrong. Right. Wrong. That's the way to control people. The way to awaken people, which is our purpose, is my way. Connect your love, your heart to infinite love. That's when a drop of water becomes, with the ocean, infinite power. Literally infinite power. You are part of the infinite. If you want to use the word God, you can. I use the word universal energy field.
You can use absolute, all that is, whatever terms.
Sure. Source field is another. Because then you understand you're part of it. And when you connect to the infinite, you have infinite power. Evil cannot attack you. Darkness cannot attack you. When you are told you're a sinner and you got to read the book, you're just this isolated little drop of water, and you become vulnerable, easily controlled, easily manipulated, which is what the church does. So, you know, I have lots of religious people coming to me and they expect free service and free healings. I said, well, first off, if your religion's so true, why aren't your pastors, priests, and holy books healing you? Well, they don't like that. Then, you know, I say, you're broke. You have no money. If your religion's so true, why are you broke?
There's an easy answer to that.
Go ahead.
And that's because Catholicism tells you that you're sinners the minute you're born, immediate low self-worth issue, so you're not worth anything.
Right. Fascinating. So, you know, my mother, she's devout Catholic, and she says, can you heal me? I said, why don't you go to your church and heal? No, she said, you talk like that to your mother? Yeah. I said, yes, I do, because your soul has been corrupted, it's been controlled, and your mind's controlled, and now you want me to break through all that and all your poor choices. You've got to rescind You've got to renounce that so your soul can become clear, so it can connect to divine love. This is exactly what they don't want you to do. They want you to stay in the pen just like the farmer keeps the sheep. So the reality is, what Stewart showed me in his gift, which is the mind, and his incredible psychic. I mean, you see things that are quite phenomenal, and I tested him with people I know and so forth. So his mind and his third eye was profound. I had my higher connections, and so this is where the complementary energies came in. So just to give you an example in a story, Stewart told me about the Bosnian pyramids. Well, we had read about these pyramids discovered in Bosnia under some overgrowth of forest. Well, then he shared with me some special things. Go ahead and tell what you told me.
About the Bosnian pyramids specifically, and I've been there a couple of times, they are minimum 40,000 years old. Not created by human beings. They have been sealed from the inside, but once you get underneath into the tunnel system underneath the pyramids, the water there is absolutely more pure than anything on the earth. The air has a quality that cannot be detected anyplace else on the earth, and there's a healing energy where you, just like when you bring this in, you cannot be sick there. It's not possible to be sick.
So now what we did, see, what we know is everything has a spirit. And if you tap into high enough dimensions, we can tap into the founders. Now, you said 40,000 years minimum. And we know the Egyptian pyramids are roughly 5,000 BC, 3,000 BC.
That's what they say, but they're a little bit older.
Right, 10,000 BC. So regardless, they're at least 30,000 years older than the Egyptian pyramids. So what we did was I showed him how to tap into the founders. Who created this? Always possible. Who created them? What's the energy behind this pure water and pure air? So we tapped into that. Share what you experienced.
Yeah, and that was fascinating to me because you showed me how to, for lack of a better term, lasso the energy and bring it in and apply it where needed.
Right. So what's possible, and Dr. Shah, one of my great teachers, a healer from China, showed me, and he shared with me that there was a famous story in ancient China where they had an outbreak of malaria, and the herb that they used to treat the malaria had been formed out. So what the masters did was they put the spirit of the herb in the water. People drank the water and had the same effect. So that is in effect lassoing the energy of that herb and now directing it into water. Well, if you have high enough energy, high enough vibrations, you can do this. So this is what I did. So with this water and air and energy from these Bosnian pyramids, we did that, we experienced it, and we even connected to the founders energetically. We could feel their energy. Very special. Yes. What did you feel there?
I felt extremely ancient minds, frequencies, quite amazing. Not human, but still of a benevolent nature.
Yes. Another very interesting, powerful story. This is probably the most profound. We were sharing what we know about DNA. And we both know that human DNA is relatively low in the universal scale of things. Most beings in the universe last or live anywhere from 10,000 to many millions of years. And when they die and come back, they remember what they had learned. So they don't have to learn account again like humans do. Well, they limited humans' lifetimes and they're bioengineered human so that we wouldn't get too smart, wouldn't get too capable, and so forth. Well, and we're also, as you shared with me, a combination of reptilian and mammalian, right? Which is unique in the universe.
It's not natural.
So there's many books out there now, one of which exposed me to the powers of being able to raise your DNA. And one of the reasons I have the power I have is I've learned to raise my DNA and expand it so that I can channel higher vibrations of love, life, and light. So when I showed Stewart how to raise the DNA, and he was showing me how to do it from inside the head, I was showing him how to do it by connecting to higher dimensions. And we combined what we knew. And right then, we had an angelic visit.
It was quite sudden. It was quite sudden.
It was exactly when we did.
And it was like... I don't know how to explain it. Just this energy wave came over, and there was a direct communication, I can't say mind to mind, but soul to soul, is a
soul.
better way of describing that.
I would say a beautiful being came right in. He said, "Oh, you have struck the key of expanding your life and going to eternity." I don't know if I could use the word ascend, but something very powerful happened. And we're going to share more with you on that as we continue. That angelic visit, and each of us saw some of the same things, but we have different vision, we are different people. So it's the same experience, and obviously we experience different energies, but the same visit. Powerful stuff, awakening DNA. Share with them what you do on that.
With DNA, I have an exercise where I take the hyperspace image of the DNA symbol, and with a pi sign, I use as a key, and I unlock the DNA so that the rungs of the DNA open up, and the information is then available to download into the pineal gland and mind.
Right. Now, he calls it hyperspace. I call it the universal energy field. My way is to tap into these higher vibrations and be able to download. You can download things from the universe, just like you download things on the internet. Well, the universe has infinite knowledge, infinite power, infinite wisdom. If your vibrations are high enough, you can download this. So that's what, when we combined and shared, we had that angelic visit, which tells us we're right on and something special is about to happen. Now, one of the other things that we did, I noticed that Stewart's third eye was profoundly stronger than mine when we started. And I looked at him and I said, well, just imagine how strong Christ, Jesus, third eye must have been. And I said to Stewart, I said, look, we can download this. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I was about a 2, he was about a 6. And assuming Jesus was at 10, we downloaded the strength of our pineal gland. What did you feel when we did that?
Well, there again, I felt like a buzzing here, and you can actually feel it expand. Just like I felt in my arm, I felt it here on the pineal gland as well. And that's a good point, is that anything that exists, you can download and apply it.
You download and apply it, provided you have the right frequency and the right intent.
That's important.
Yeah, it's got to be for the highest and best interest of all concerned. That's essential. So literally, it literally felt like a muscle, just like after you lift weights and your muscle gets pumped. Well, that's what it felt like in the center of my head, almost like I could project a laser beam through a wall, through a piece of paper. And they have monks who, with their hands or a third eye, they can direct it at paper and cause the paper to burn. Mm-hmm. One of the other fascinating stories was Stewart shared with me about the green crystals in southern Philippines.
In the island of Mindanao.
Yeah.
And I had been there quite a few years ago. I was told I was only the third white person to go into the jungle since they know of to access this. Make a very long story short, this was Lemurian crystal. Mm-hmm. It was huge, medium green color, and we waited till at night, and they opened the cavern. These natives that were there who were they're in the Philippines, but they're not part of the Philippines, if you know what I mean. And the forest just glowed green. We were told by the natives that there are 7 of these crystals located around the Pacific Rim. They have 2 of them, and they showed me 1.
So as soon as he told me this fascinating story, I said, Stewart, let's connect to the originators of that. We can go to higher dimensions and do so. So I did my little exercise, and there we found ourselves in front of a grand council on higher dimensions, and we both described the same experience. You want to share what you saw there?
Yeah, these beings were energetically huge. I think human mind would have difficulty understanding all the information that they have to download to a person. But their intention is, especially with green, because the medium green color, this light, this is energy, this is healing, this is a removal of emotional issues, understanding the past, all of these things just came right down upon us.
So this is key to understand, is anytime you sense a miracle, you sense profound divine energy, it's possible to connect to the energies behind that, the originators behind that. And notice the religions never teach you this. So that should tell you something.
And the thing is, religion teaches you need an intermediary. You don't need it. All you need is you.
Well, they present themselves as a middleman and they then misdirect you.
Right.
Okay,
That's right.
that's how they manage to form. One of the ways I built my healing power was I had some experiences with great healers. We've all read about great healers. Well, you can connect to the angels behind them. Okay, that's possible for all of us. And I teach this in my Healing Genius Mastery course, is how to do just that and be able to restore souls, be able to restore bodies, sleep, and so forth, over the phone at any distance. One of the other energies that we connected with was Lake Titicaca.
South America.
And tell us about that.
This lake is a very unusual location, and I had spent time there in Bolivia and Peru. And there's a ruined city right next to it called Tiwanaku, which is over 13,000 years old. And the lake bottom has a complex of some sort on the floor of the lake. And then underneath the floor of the lake, inside the earth itself, is a cavern with yet more complexes of different type of civilization there.
Right. So again, we connected to the spirits behind that. Our whole body energized and brightened. I mean, literally, you look 10 or 15 years younger
If
than
that's
when you
even
arrived.
possible, I don't know. But
Well,
yes.
you know, he does. And we met in the airport after both traveling a long way to get here.
Yeah.
Stuart, how do people find out more about you if they want to go through any of your teachings?
Yeah, just go to www.expansions.com. That's my website, and all the information that you need, contact information, and books, videos, services are all located there.
Brilliant, brilliant knowledge this man has to share. I want to thank you.
Ed.
Really,
Thank you, Ed.
really
I appreciate all of yours as well.
You're most welcome. So we thank you. Those of you who know, healinggenius.com, selfhealingmastery.net, and coming soon, the Energy of Youth, and my healing training program, Healing Genius Mastery. Friends, thanks for watching. Stuart, thanks for coming. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Ed.
your knowledge.
I appreciate you as well, very much.
Okay, more to share with you.
Bye
See
for
you
now.
again soon. Bye-bye.